This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, WildEarth viewers and fans. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands, South Africa. What a beautiful, beautiful morning we do have here. As you can see, a stunning cloud cover. The sun is slowly but surely breaking through, and we're so glad to be back live with everybody. Good morning. My name is Cedric, and of course behind the camera we've got BK. So everybody, welcome back to us. It's going to be absolutely a wonderful day. I'm so glad just to be back on this road and we can see what we can find out here. I think in the last 2 days we've all been waiting in anticipation to see if we can pick up on any of the characters and see what the movement has been like around this area. As you know, that Chris is out as well this morning, so he's going to be taking a look at the northwestern boundary, and myself and BK, we're going to take a look here to the eastern boundary, head to the south, maybe Twin Dams, and we're even going to maybe follow up on the Hyena den. Hopefully we can see some changes here, see what's been happening. We're all waiting in anticipation, but it is a beautiful morning. It is a stunning cloud cover coming through just to keep the little bit of heat in, a little bit like dampness, a little bit of heat that's remaining here, but I think this will definitely burn off very quickly, the clouds. So we're going to just listen out a little bit, because we know that this morning or the last day or two we haven't really been out and all, so we're just going to try and listen out to see what's happening around here. We're also going to take a look at a lot of the roads in this area to see what tracks has been coming through. Of course, there's a lot of signs, a lot of news on these roads that's just been happening during the night and during the day yesterday, and we're going to just pick up on any of the signs that we can try and follow up on as well. You must remember that apparently they had Molawati around the Gowrie Dam. But yeah, if you guys got any questions or any comments, please on Twitter just hashtag WildEarth, or if you need to go onto the website, it's wildearth.tv/channels. If you need a comment or if you send any questions on that site, please make sure that you do register. And of course, all our younger viewers, everybody under the age of 18, just pop us an email at kidsquestion@wildearth.tv, so we can definitely listen and pick up on all your comments and all your questions. Please don't be shy to send them, so we can keep us entertained for the day and keep us going. Yes, good morning, Waikisa. That's it. Let's get ready to bumble. For sure, I agree with you. We are looking forward to this bumble. We're looking forward to seeing what we can find for you guys and to see what's happening out here this morning. I think the bumbling is always the best part of the morning, especially that we haven't been out for the last day and a half, 2 days, so we can actually look into that and see what we can find. Really looking forward to this morning. I'm just hoping that we can actually pick up on any noises coming through. I was listening while we stopped here. I was listening out, maybe towards Twin Dams. Sounds like something that side. Heard something. Yeah, good morning, Tony. Definitely, it's nice to be back. It's nice just to be all out again. It's good to have you guys back as well and watching what we can find and having the same experience, and hopefully we can get great things for you. And I know, as I say, Chris is definitely working the west, I'm working the east. We're just going to work really hard for you guys to see if we can pick up on any crazy stuff happening out here. I think I just hear something happening down. I just heard something going crazy at Twin Dams, so just listen out a little bit. Maybe there's something happening at Twin Dams. Maybe the hyenas are around that side. But we're at Chillapan at the moment. Of course, you know, it's always good to listen. But anyway, while we're going to head down to Twin Dams, let's head to Chris to see what's he up to.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to be back. Well, while Cedric is heading down to the south of the property, I'm going to focus on the north and eastern parts, check the boundaries. We haven't been checking those for quite some time. Good. My name is Chris, and with me today is Morgan on CamOps. And like I mentioned, we're going to try and sort of work the north. We're on Aubrey's Road at the moment. Going to check Buffalo cut line, then sort of work it further east. We did see some leopard tracks coming from the camp into this direction, and I'm not sure who it is. Looks like it was early last night, so not really something to actively follow. And then again, we're just appreciating this, if I can say, sunrise, but so it's almost like ghostly type of scene. Good morning, Safari Kitty, who just mentioned that this is such a beautiful sunrise. Well, the sun is about to rise, and I'm actually quite hoping that we'd get a gap between that layer of clouds and, you know, the horizon, and it might just illuminate the clouds a little bit for just a moment. Almost like a reset, you know. That's what I love about sunrises. You know, like after a couple of days of not being out, and you know, then how fitting is it to start with just a lovely sunrise. And just waiting for that first rays. And even though it looks rather stormy, if you can look at the clouds, it's actually quite a lovely mild morning. It's not too hot, not too cold, not really any wind. It is overcast, obviously, but I think this is, just generally speaking, good game viewing conditions for now. Obviously, you have to see what happens further into the morning, but for now, I reckon we, in terms of the conditions, we're all good. Well, let's go over to Cedric, who apparently found something rather tall.
Yes, welcome back. Look what we have here. We got a little young giraffe calf. Yes, enjoying the mother's just to the right there, but look how cute that little one is. I absolutely love the little giraffe calves. They've got the most fluffiest electric hair on top of their horns. It's absolutely stunning. Just ruminating there. Look. And you've got a little oxpecker there as well on top of him. Just enjoying a couple of parasites, the ticks and the fleas, just cleaning the little one's head. Absolutely stunning. But those little horns really fascinate me. Especially when they're born. I mean, you know, as a female or the giraffe itself, as a land mammal, they give birth to the largest babies. You're looking at around about 140 kilograms when they are born. But this little one most probably is already about, say, just about a year old. It's quite tall, but they do grow immensely quickly. So he's, let's see, that's actually he. So it's a young male. Well, I can say you can just look on the belly. You see that little bump on the belly. So females do not have that. So that's a young boy. Of course, you'll find that giraffe, they are gregarious, so you'll find that this little calf and the mother will tend to move around alone for the time being, staying in these little open clearings just for safety. And eventually the female and this little calf will start joining other giraffes, moving around with her together. Moira, good morning. Welcome to WildEarth. Yes, they do grow. They actually start reattaching. So when they're born, those horns is not attached to the skull itself because just for the birth process. But around about 4 months, the calcification starts taking place, and then it'll actually attach, and then it'll actually grow while the youngster grows to an older age, to an adult. So you'll find that those horns become thicker, and especially as this little one is a male, those horns on top will become bald and nice and thick. So it's of course when they call a thing called necking, so that when they start sparring or challenging each other for females. So that does grow thicker and much stronger. But she has also the land mammal, very strong and very big heart as well. So yeah, pumping huge, big hearts to pump the. Just big hearts to pump the blood up to the brain back and forth. So they have to really have a strong heart. Good morning, giraffe girl. It's so nice having these two on Djuma this morning, so early this morning as well, just to witness them and just to see them so relaxed and enjoying all the acacia trees and all the leaves around here, a couple of buffalo thorns as well. So they're really having a nice time here. It's fantastic. We don't really get to see many giraffes around. We'll get more of those big acacia thickets where you'll get plenty more giraffes because they do enjoy the acacia leaves, way more palatable, better for them. But around here, now and again we do see, but it's not a common occurrence. Just look at that tail though. This is a long hair on that tail, eh? They've got actually, out of most of the land mammals as well, they've got one of the longest hairs that you can get. You can imagine, just to whip all the flies off. I didn't get the name. But I think I didn't get the name. Do giraffes have twins? Yes, I've seen it before. Manito. Good morning, Manito. Welcome to WildEarth. Yes, I've seen it before. The giraffes. There is cases that giraffe do have twins. I've seen it before, but I think like most animals, it can happen, but some animals more so than others. So it is definitely possible. I think the twin situation is, I know elephants, they definitely have twins quite often, or not quite often, but they do have. There's more cases it's known with elephants, but definitely giraffe as well. Oh, you can see from a buffalo thorn. Now that tree there is so sharp. Those thorns are absolutely hectic. I think the giraffe's tongue and their mouth is like a leather boot, as strong as a leather boot, because honestly, that is, even if you walk past that, those thorns get hold of you, it's not pretty. We actually call it in Afrikaans a wagabikkie. Yeah, so I can just think that that mouth is so tough. I mean, you walk past there, that thorns get a hold of you. Ooh, you know about it. We call it wagabikkie, means to wait a little bit, bush or tree, because it's not a pretty bush for us, but for them it's nothing. But it's also, you'll find that giraffes' tongues are purple. And actually, the main reason for that purple is because it's a lack of nerves inside of the tongue. So there's not much blood flow going through there. So lack of nerves means that even the thorns, and it doesn't do any really damage, or it doesn't make any kind of, or it's not painful for the giraffe itself. So they can actually, it's just got enough mobility for that tongue to wrap around the leaves or the stems, and to strip off all the leaves from the tree itself. So it's very, very, very tough mouth and very complicated mobility of that tongue to really get in there and not to feel any pain. But for us, it's not that easy. It's actually painful to watch. But those horns, even that bird is still in that oxpecker is still on top there. He's loving it. Look at that little oxpecker. He's loving his little ride there between the horns. Like, that's it. Oh, almost put the poor bird in the bush. Those little electric hairs coming off the horns. But especially with the younger ones, yeah, I've seen those calves. Actually, that hair looks like a little punk hairstyle. It's absolutely everywhere. Almost looks like somebody's like an upside down tree with all the roots coming out there, but like very fine roots. Very cute, very cute. You can see the mother on top there. Now look at the female's horns. You can just quickly take a look there. Very, very thin, little bit of hair. So if that was a male, much thicker horns, no hair on top, much better. Much stronger horns, of course, for fighting each other.
Go forward a bit.
Yeah, get there. Let's take a look. That's up. Let's take a look from this side. So in Afrikaans we call it a kameelpad. If I have to translate it into English, it means camel horse. And why so is that when it walks like a camel. So it pretty much one side, like a train, like that old steam trains, one side then the other side, one side then the other side. And when it runs, it runs like a horse. It adjusts itself. Champagne. Chantal, yes, definitely the eyelashes. I'm sure any woman will die for those long eyelashes. Thank you very much, Chantal, for the comment. Yeah, look, and also you must remember those eyelashes is so thick as well, because it really protects the eyes from now exactly what that female is doing. It's getting into that thorny tree, and it's just to protect the eyes. But while we watch here and listen out, let's head back to Chris and see what's happening with him on his little bumble.
Oh, good luck, Cedric. I'm back on the northern boundary, trying to, when you've not been out for a few days, my sort of game plan here is to check the boundaries. Anything in, anything out. If not, we'll work it northwards from the south. No particular plan, no particular species. We're just gonna see what we can get, What I can tell you is that there's just a lot of elephant movement in and out. I must say the last 3-4 days the elephant movement has been rather slow on our side. So it would be nice if we can find one of those large groups of elephants, large herds. And then a lot of hyena tracks. Other than that, nothing to report. So we're still searching. And as Cedric mentioned, he is going to eventually sort of head towards the hyena dens down south. So that's great if he can do that area. Then I'll focus on the north and the east for now. So every now and then I'll just check out the ground for any potential tracks. And Morgan's also scanning from his little pedestal there. I'm thinking we're going up one of these little elevations or hills. We might just get a lovely view of the sunrise from. So that's actually something I'm going to go and investigate now. Good morning, Joey, and he wants to know if any of the animals in Djuma migrate. I'm going to say yes, all right, but it's another one of those questions we need to, again, sort of just like strip down. Migrating in the true sense like you'll find up in the Masai Mara, East Africa, Serengeti system, not really, no, at least not in that sort of numbers. But we do have local movements. You'll find things like wildebeest. At times you'll find very few of them here, and they might be in parts of the Manyaleti or actual Kruger. Elephants definitely does somewhat of a local migration, moving to and from again, other parts of the greater Kruger. Things like impala, for instance, do not migrate here. I mean, they stay in their little areas. The same with things like lions, they stick to their territory. The same with leopards. So, small-scale migration, I would rather refer to it as local transit, really, rather than an actual migration. When I just mentioned that the last couple of days we've not seen a lot of elephants, as opposed to the week before where they were literally around every corner. Oh, look at that. This is something we'll have to look at. Just going to ease it into that. Wow, we just caught that at the right moment. Just look at that. Morning, Aunt Christy. Now that question there, if I were to be able to speak to animals, which animal would I speak to and what questions would I ask? It's a very broad question. I would love to speak to them all, but I would probably choose a honey badger. And I'll probably ask a single word as a question, and I'll just ask, like, why? Just why? Why the attitude? Why the angriness? Why? Yeah, definitely honey badger. But then again, I've got so many questions for elephants. Day, chatting to the matriarch and just asking, listen, am I right to say like this is what you do? Is it really true? So many questions. This is exactly what I was hoping for as we got over this little ridge. Just to experience this. Lovely moment. Well, we're going to lose this soon, so let's head over to Cedric, who's found a hyena.
Yes, welcome back, Djuma Private Game Reserve. So we've got one of the hyenas. We're at Twin Dam, so we've got one of the hyenas. I'm just trying to figure out. No, now you're finally looking at me. I want to see which one it is. Maybe you guys can give me a shout on which individual This might be corky. But yeah, because we went around to the den site. There's a couple of the cubs around there, but we're not allowed to hang around at the den site when the adult is not around. So of course we left that area. But as we got to Twin Dams, we picked up on this female hyena. You can just definitely see it's one of the females from the thing. I'll just try to figure out where it is. She keeps on putting her head down very quickly. If you guys can give me an idea, maybe you could ID her quicker there, please let me know. But of course, hyenas will tend to hang around, sometimes come towards the water area, drink a little bit of water, and even like play around in the water, especially on the early mornings when it starts getting hot and all, just to cool down, just to bring the body temperature down as well. It is a nice little area for them just to rest and just to also listen out. Maybe they can pick up on any distress calls that's happening around this area. But of course, you can also see it's definitely a female, much larger than a male hyena. And from where I'm sitting now, it's a big female. So it's definitely one of the matriarch might be corky. I'm not sure. Just want to double check, and it looks like a little bit of a nip out of that right ear, so that might be a heart. So, yes, that's correct, Michael. Thanks for helping out there. Yeah, heart. Just saw that little nip out of her right ear. So of course, heart is one of the females. She's also got the one cub at the den site. And I'm just, we're all just hoping that all those cubs are doing well. I know Corky's has got new cubs, one of the matriarchs at the den site itself, and Ribbon. So she's got two. And the cubs are really getting to a nice age where they're starting to lose that blackness and starting to get their real hyena feel to it with those little spots coming through, which is absolutely amazing. Can't wait for them to start moving around and heading out with the aunties and their mothers. It's going to be fantastic news. I wonder where the other two females are, Ribbon and Corky, is. But it doesn't look like this hyena or heart has got any. I'm just trying to. She might be a little big. Maybe she did have something to eat, but difficult to say because she is lying down. So when they do lie down like that, it actually gives a. You can't really give the right impression because it might be because she's lying on her tummy that it's just spread out and it looks like she is full. She's definitely not bothered about much at the moment. Fantastic. Betty, good morning. Yes, thank you very much for your comment. Welcome to WildEarth. Yes, they are loving the dam edges and all that in the mornings. Well, actually, just even during the days. Look, it's still summertime, so it's still quite warm. So they're definitely taking, or they're making the most of the water areas at this point in time. Because once it starts heating up, they want to feel a little bit much cooler. They don't want to be too hot and overheat. I can think myself, if I have to have a lovely summer day around the pool edges, it will be fantastic. I'll definitely take that opportunity. But this cloud cover that we've got at the moment, this is just keeping. It's pretty much keeping the heat in. It's like a blanket. So it's like we've had quite a few warm or quite a few hot days, and of course it's just keeping. Oh, yeah, she's big. She is absolutely gigantic. Look at that tummy. You know, she's definitely came from a kill or something like that. So she's definitely had a proper feed from somewhere last night. Very good. Very important for her as well. So just to produce that high protein milk for the cubs. So very important to continuously eat and be properly fed. And I don't know what she ate, but it's definitely something big. I wonder what she's taken. I wonder if she didn't steal a kill from a leopard or something like that. Maybe even on lions. I'm not too sure, but we'll definitely take a look around in the area just to see where most of the hyena tracks are coming down from, because I see there's a lot going down towards the Gurry Main heading south, so I wonder if there wasn't something around that area from last night. Nora, good morning, welcome to WildEarth. Look, hyena cubs they can even suckle up to 18 months with from their mothers, just to make sure that they get that high protein, that milk from them. So, but the hyenas, I mean, you can see some of them actually, if it's a female hyena, they can practically almost stay most of their lives with the mother, especially if the mother's a high-ranked female in the matriline. So if the matriline, she's high ranked there, she will definitely try and stick with that clan for most of her life, because she's going to keep that rank. But if it's you'll find if it's a male hyenas, they get pushed out pretty much around about 2 years old, sometimes 2.5. I've seen some of the hyenas get even kicked out a little bit earlier. It depends on the pressure in the clan itself, and you'll find that the males will head off and they'll become nomadic, and they'll push off into other areas and maybe find another, or not another clan, but to, become a male to be reckoned with in the hyena society, with other females, with other matriarchs, just to get that mating rights. Sorry, I just hear a lot of birds alarm calling behind me. You see anything that's out? No. Maybe it's another hyena that's just going past there. But it doesn't look like it. All those birds are just going crazy. Well, we're just trying to look out here. I just heard something. Let's go back to Chris on a bumble, and then we're just going to continue looking this side.
So great that Cedric's managed to find his hyenas. I know that was his intention, is to head down to the den site. On our side, it's still in progress. We are still driving the northern boundary, like relatively slow. Nothing to report at the moment in terms of tracks. Just enjoying the bush, and was just saying, telling Morgan that that's just so incredible just to actually be out there. It is a tricky time in terms of tracking. You still don't have that sun sort of or the light, to illuminate your tracks. So tracks appear very two-dimensional at the moment. So you have to physically look down on the ground. You can't really see it at a distance now. We're not going to. We've got cloud cover, so from a tracking perspective, not the greatest conditions. Not impossible though. Now that leopard tracks we had earlier appeared to be that of a large male, and we know Milwaukee was at Djuma at the dam about 2 nights ago. So it could have been him, and it looked like the tracks also crossed out of our property northwards. So I'm actually hoping that towards the east, Buffelshoek Dam area, perhaps, go down Nyala, that area. We'll hopefully find some tracks of Tlalamba. That would be nice. But in the meantime, we're just cruising and enjoying. We're sort of coming up to the turn off to Buffelshoek Dam. Probably going to spend maybe about 5 or so minutes there just to listen out for some sounds and so forth. Now, you would recall a couple of days ago we did that geology little presentation. So I'm thinking to set up another similar topic for this afternoon. So we've done the geology and we've established what the soils are about and so forth. So the next step in terms of similar discussions would be to chat about the vegetation, specifically the grasses. So that is something I'm going to try and focus on this afternoon, in addition to looking for animals. But we're going to chat about some of these grasses, about how they fit into the ecology, you know, how to identify different species, and the importance of grass in our lives, you know. So we'll chat about that this afternoon, just to give you a bit of a heads up and perhaps start preparing some questions. Anyway, let's head over to Cedric on his Bumble.
Welcome back. Yes, I'm just looking on the ground here. I've got a female leopard tracks on Gowrie Main heading in a westerly direction. Excuse me. I was double checking where, but very fresh on top of all the vehicle tracks. Maybe I'll Tandy. Maybe Tandy. Oh, what's it? Always trying to look out on the termite mounds. Maybe you're lucky on the mounds itself. Just to take a look. If anything is just relaxing and using it as a vantage point. But I don't see anything there. But also you'll find that you get little drains, like these water drains. We call it Marty drains. And in the Marty drains, many times you'll find the leopards will actually go into those water drains and just go and relax on the side of the main road itself. They don't want to go into the thick grass or anything like that. And those are the water drains. The sand is like very soft. So, but it's still early, so there's still a lot of movement. Of course, we've got nocturnal animals, so your leopards, your lions are still moving quite a bit at this time. So you know that's why I rather kind of follow these tracks as quick as possible before they do start relaxing into an area that might be a little bit thick for us. So yeah, let's see. But she's definitely still on the road. The tracks, or not her, but the tracks. Maybe it's Tandy, because it is small. I know Tandy is a small female, just like Shadow herself. So they're not as large. The tracks are a little bit smaller compared to like Shadulu. Even back in the day, even the mother Karula tracks are much larger. So yeah, I'm just hoping maybe she's gone up Weaver's Nest. Just wanted to check here. Please, 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 please. Doesn't look like anything has popped up that side. I think it might still be on the road. Indigo Go, good morning, welcome to WildEarth. If there's somebody that wants Tandy the most, it's me! Seriously, I still haven't seen her since I've been back. I still haven't seen her. So yes, I'm definitely trying to follow up here. I've got to, hopefully she didn't go south. I just want to check because I still haven't seen her. There's no tracks here. I'm actually going to go back a bit. I'm going to take a look that side. I don't want to carry on tracking further that way. There's nothing, because then we're off the main tracks. So I just want to see where the last track goes up in here, but I don't see anything on this side here. Oh no! Oh no! Okay, the last one's here. I just want to see where the... Don't even do this to me. Don't even do this to me. That's definitely on all the vehicles. I've got a feeling she might have been... If she went up this way, that'll be a problem. Pick up on anything that side. Nothing, eh? If that's the case, because the last tracks was here, she might have gone north. Maybe she went in. Let's just go take a look at Weaver's Nest quickly. We might be lucky. Maybe she's got in there, cut across, and I'm hoping. Come on, little girl, come on, come out for me, wherever you are, come out. So this is also another area. I'm just hoping she's popped out into this area. She came across, coming to here. Let's take a look carefully here. Still hasn't picked up on much. Just have to look, have a look. Yeah, I know, look. I agree with Indigo Girl's comment earlier. Is to see Tundi, it is going to be a really exciting moment, and I'm sure for everybody as well. We'll see the Queen of Djuma back on Djuma. But it's not looking too good. Still, there's nothing still coming out. Yeah, still nothing. But I mean, like, the thing is, if she came across in this area, sometimes she'll walk and cut across. She doesn't want to take the long way around. And I'm just going to stop there. We've got a beautiful brown-headed parrot on the left-hand side. Sorry, I just picked up on that, like really right on top of that dead branch. Oh, brown-headed parrots. Very high squeak. You can hear them. So pretty. That's a beautiful little green on them. I can see a little bit of that yellow on that wing, eh? It's like, but underneath the wings itself, they've got that yellow color to it when they fly. There it off it goes. I wonder what. Just try to sit here and listen out. I just want to listen if you can pick up on any noise. Yeah, no, look, there's just a lot of birds around this morning. I think I'm also looking around. There's a lot of the termites that's out, especially the harvester termites in the grass. So there's a lot of them. That's the holes are open at the moment, and the workers are quite busy, just kind of, you know, putting the soils back around the whole areas, with the soldiers also protecting the area, the holes itself, or the mounds, or not the mounds, but the entrances. While I'm sitting, and hopefully we can follow up on Tundi's tracks. Let's head back to JP in Pinelands.
Good morning and welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. We're out and about on a walk this morning, and we're actually following one of the main drainage lines between two of the dams and see what we can go and find. Hopefully there'll be some animal movement up and down along the drainage line. So my name is JP LaRue, and behind the camera we've got Johan. In the meanwhile, we've actually been doing a little bit of birding, and some of the birds that we have seen is actually a Birchall's cuckoo, which we have right up there on that big leadwood just at the bottom left-hand side of that branch. Fairly easy bird to identify with its brown back, beige underparts, and then the black head. Unfortunately, it's now dipped underneath the vegetation there. It's also a bird that we quite often hear, and it has a characteristic sound, almost sounding like water that's running out of a bottle. In the olden days, people used to actually refer to them as a rainbird, and I still see some older folk actually referring to them as such. And the reason why is because these birds used to often call for much longer on cool, overcast days, which was obviously associated with rain. And the only reason why they were calling for so much longer is because the air is cool and the sound actually travels further, which makes it more effective in actually vocalizing and proclaiming a territory by using a call. We're just going to pan our camera around and just listen to the different sounds in the background and then start moving on. Some of the bird calls that you might actually hear in the background is a number of different hornbills, as well as a crested barbet and some very noisy rattling cisticulars. Good morning, Jennifer, and thank you very much. And it's great for us to be out on foot as well. We hope to go and see some interesting things. We'll be obviously looking at the smaller components of the ecosystem, and that's one of the beautiful things about walks, is that you can spend more time with these little things. But we also occasionally do see a lot of big things on the walk as well. And generally for us, that's giraffe as well as elephant, and even occasionally lion and leopard that we've had on foot here as well. Well, we're going to continue our walk and go and see what we can go and find. And let's see what Cedric is up to.
Welcome back to Djuma Private Game Reserve. Yes, I love the Birchall's cuckoo. I think the Birchall's cuckoo is such a pretty bird. The color, just that like white and the black and the kind of a brown bronze color on top. It's the copper color. It's absolutely beautiful, beautiful bird. That. Yeah, so far it's a burning morning. It looks like it, but still doing the bumble around here. We're just now close to Treehouse. I'm just going to take a look around this area because, yes, that female leopard tracks was coming into this direction, pretty much heading west towards Treehouse. And I'm actually just hoping that we can maybe find that female around Treehouse. Hopefully it's once again. Maybe Tundi, but. And plus the morning is also still fresh. It was actually quite funny enough. It was warmer earlier because of the cloud cover and all that. It was like really keeping the heat in from yesterday and that. But typical when it's the cloud cover remains, it just seems like it just becomes fresher and cooler. It's actually a very pleasant morning so far. Very pleasant. Sounds like my back right tire's coming off. Yeah. Oh, we've got a little daker. Oh. Lunga. Oh, fantastic. I wonder where on Gary Main, because this is quite far west now, but maybe it could be. I might be wrong, but I know it is Tundi's area and it's the size. But, yeah, it could be Lunga, you never know. Well, we've got a little daker, common great daker that's just disappearing. Sorry, you know, the problem with the daker, they're very skittish, being such a solitary and small antelope, or dwarf antelopes. He's going. A little male. You can see the male, well, not a little male, but it's a full-grown male. You can see the horns. So they're very, very small antelope, and as soon as you get there, they start running. But when they run, they like do this diving motion, and that's where the name comes from, duiker. So if I translate duiker into English, means diver. And the whole idea of diving away like that and running and diving, running and diving, is actually to really confuse the predators. Because they dive into the bush, like especially when the grass is so high, so they run and they dive and they change direction, run and dive, change direction. So many times you'll find the predators like, oh, which way did it go? Which way did it go? So it's one of the defense mechanisms for them. But it's also a beautiful antelope. It's actually an antelope that they are herbivores, but there has been instances where they've seen the duiker actually eating chicks, like francolins and lapwing chicks. So yeah, I'm sure just to get the certain proteins out of it. So yeah, can you believe it? An antelope that actually eats meat. Very, very strange. Bronwyn, good morning, good morning. Thank you very much for the question. Yes, there is other antelopes out there in the world that's smaller than a duiker. You even look at, in this area, we got even the steenbok. It's also a very, very small antelope. So the duiker is a dwarf, part of the dwarf antelopes, but they aren't the smallest. And you get the sunny as well. The sunny is one of the smallest antelopes that you do get around here towards pretty much north of South Africa and further up. So they are much smaller compared to your duiker. So there is definitely smaller antelopes all over the world compared to your common grey duiker. But there is around about over, I think it's about 460 different species of duiker that you do get in Africa itself. So there's a whole book about your different duikers in Africa. It's absolutely insane if you actually go and take a look and a read up on the duiker species. Well, we're going to head towards Treehouse Dam. Let's head back to Chris on his little bumble, see what he's up to.
Yeah, I must say it is rather quiet this morning. We had some tracks of a pack of dogs and buffaloes who got like all the way down and then back into Torchwood. So, yeah. Now I'm going to go to dams and then from there still stick to the eastern part, but I'm going to basically sort of crisscross the roads, north towards Buffalo Dam, to focus on the eastern parts of Djuma. But not even Impala, eh? It's like, it's rather dead at the moment. Which is fine, It happens. I was fascinated by this weather. It's like not raining, but there's a lot of moisture in the air. But it's actually quite cool. It's like almost cold, almost. Definitely some change in the weather. Good day, Ben. Ben wants to know if we went out on drive in the past 2 days that we were off air. Ben, yes. We went out for 1 or 2 sort of just like little scouting drives, recreational drive, just to go and have fun. Also to try and see what's out there and sort of to keep track. We also did a couple of of film shoots as well. You know, we always out there getting some footage for various reasons to be used in promos and all sorts of things. You know, so yeah, we did go out, not every single day or every single drive, but we did, in fact. Good morning, James Richard. And James is extremely happy that the dogs are around, even though they're not on our property. But you know dogs. I mean, they one moment they're here, next moment they're there. So they might swing back. You never know. But for now, the tracks have definitely gone into Torchwood. I've not yet heard any. What's in the road there? Oh, it's Hyena. Huh? Got a Hyena on the road. Stop here, check that out. Sleeping on the road. Who do we have here? What's your name? Probably need to get a touch closer. We're not that far from Twin Dam, so yeah, we'll go closer just now. Good morning, Elke. I love your comment there that you said hyenas do like to relax. Now like most predators, when they inactive, they are thoroughly inactive. Lions, leopards, hyenas, when they sleep, they sleep. Good management. However, predators want to maximize their time out and minimize effort when they don't need to move. It's almost like, why stand and sit down? Why sit down if you can lie down? So why move when you don't need to? I was just trying to get my binoculars out now to see if I can have an attempt to ID this. Michael Fleetwood has beaten me to it. And he says we've got Ndebele here. Thanks, Michael. No, you're always spot on with those. Also appreciate all the advice you give us, well, myself especially on social media, about the hyenas of this part of the Sabi Sands. I know it's something that you're quite passionate about. Just thanks for all your inputs. So it's in the belly. Now the predicament we are in is we need to get past it at some stage. Hi there, Chris Rogue. It says Ndebele is the toll collector. Yeah. Just lying down, eh? Right, so while we figure out how to get past Ndebele today, let's head over to Cedric and see what he's up to.
Hey guys, we're just sitting here, just listening out. There is a squirrel's alarm calling in the background, but as you can see, we are focused on this little mound that's on the road. Funny enough, the other day we also we looked at this mound and we actually saw little dwarf mongoose using it as a den site. Because dwarf mongoose, so they're pretty much in a big family social structure. So they're always like the alpha male, alpha female with the rest of the pack of more mongoose. But now I've just spotted in that mound itself, it just went back in, it's a slender mongoose that's using this little termite mound or the hole itself as a den site. And they're very, slender mongoose is pretty much solitary compared to the dwarf mongoose. And I think it's a female with two little pups that's actually inside there. So I'm just gonna wait a bit. There's a little head coming out there on the other one. There it is. Look at the slender mongoose, much longer face, longer neck, and they're much more vicious compared to your dwarf mongoose. Your dwarf mongoose is very much of an insectivorous. Your slender mongoose, they pretty much go for birds' nests, so they eat birds, even the eggs of the birds, little chicks. I've seen them eat chameleons, and of course they also specialize on snakes. So they're very, very little vicious carnivores, the slender mongoose. And you can see this, the coloration, it's kind of a little bit more of a lighter color compared to the dwarf mongoose. The dwarf mongoose has got that real dark gray, where the slender mongoose has got that tinge of brown inside, of course. And you can just see that head just peering out. Absolutely amazing. And that's why I say they're very, very, very shy mongoose. You never really get to see them and witness much of the slender mongoose behavior, because they really run off into the grass and it'll disappear very quickly, where this dwarf mongoose is much more curious. Penelope, good morning, welcome. Thank you very much for the comments. It's like a skinny dussie, very much so. It's like a dussie that's just been stretched and like lowered down a bit. But yes, no, they are very, very, very cute, and that's why they call it a slender. It's all slender. With a very low, long tail with a little black tip at the end of their tail when they run. A very low center of gravity, so they're very low to the ground. So I'm just taking a look. I'm just hoping they pop out again, because I just want to see the entire body, because they're just before we got here, they were sitting right outside the mound. And I think that's why the squirrel was going crazy, because the squirrel is all exactly the same. So you'll find this, your slender mongoose will go into the dray. So, of course, the house of a squirrel is called a dray. And you'll find many times a slender mongoose will go in those drays and grab the little baby squirrels out of the dray and feed on them. So, yeah, the slender mongoose is absolutely a vicious little animal. Well, the house. Riley, good morning. Thank you very much for the comment. It's not really strange. Look, the thing is, they do use termite mounds just exactly the same as your dwarf mongoose. They'll use these little holes to have as a den site for themselves. I think it's because it's also very safe for them. It's easy if something pretty much like a bird of prey chases them, they can easily quickly disappear into those holes and stay away from danger. Unfortunately, like I think now, pretty much all the dwarf mongoose species use mounds and holes in the ground as little homes. Safety, most of the warmth in the wintertime, it's warmer from inside there.
Good morning and welcome back to Eco Training Bridlands. At the moment we are looking at a number of different plants and the strategies that they have evolved to actually protect themselves. Now, other than just having thorns and spines, which I'll tell you a little bit more about in a moment, they've also got a wide host of different chemicals which they will use. And most plant species we will actually see when the plant is actually being utilized by species such as giraffe as well as kudu, that they will start pushing up their tannin levels to make themselves unpalatable. In some cases, we also see some plants have the ability to actually warn other plants of the same species that they are being browsed on. And then we also get some plants that also has incredibly toxic substances to protect themselves. But it seems it doesn't really stop certain animals, and some of the animals I have seen out here eating incredibly toxic plants is both black rhinos, giraffe, as well as species such as impala and kudu. And even in arid areas, I've seen species such as springbok, which we get to the western half of South Africa, which is also well adapted to eating incredibly toxic plants. So some of the little features that I did want to share with you, which plants use for protecting themselves. There's a structure that's called a spine, and then we can see the spine coming out of the side of this confetti bush, also known as a red spike thorn. The reason why it's called a red spike thorn is because the spine actually has red little tips to it when it's still young. It's also interesting, this plant also has a very high tannin yield, and if you ever have an upset stomach, you can actually eat the leaves to stop your stomach from running. But the spine itself, as mentioned earlier, is a modified branch, and we can see that there will be leaves eventually forming from there. I'm just going to show you some other features over here. This one over here comes from one of the thorn trees, which is known as a Vechelia. And here we can see straight thorns. And in the case of a thorn, this is actually a modified leaf. And when it comes to the production of thorns, we find that young plants especially will produce a large amount of incredibly large size thorns to protect themselves until they actually establish themselves. And then we'll see that they will actually start investing less energy in producing a thorn, but rather produce a leaf. And the benefit of a leaf is it's got chlorophyll and it can photosynthesize. Then over here, we've also got another structure over here belonging to a buffalo thorn. And these fawns over here, you can see, has one that's pointing downward and one which is actually pointing upward, making it incredibly difficult for a browser to actually feed on. But we see Giraffe loves feeding on this, and it actually doesn't pose any threat to them. And they've got very specialized tongues with a very specialized saliva that just simply will deflect the fawn off the tongue. We also find that they've got thick leathery lips, but in addition to that, they've also got very long eyelashes to protect themselves against that. And then just right over here, we also wanted to show you another feature on this knob fawn, and those are knobs, which is also there to protect the tree. However, there is some recent research that claims that you can apparently has a function of actually cooling the tree by creating uneven heating to take place on the stem of a tree or the trunk of a tree, and that then can potentially create little mini vortexes of air that moves over the stem and indirectly might cool it. If there's anybody that has a little bit more information on that out there, I would actually love to hear from you. But in the meanwhile, let's go and see what Cedric is up to.
Yeah, welcome back to Djuma Private Game Reserve. Still just looking out, still on a bumble here. We're just looking if we can maybe find any cats or dogs for you guys. But at the moment, it is so it was like a bird morning. And there's little smaller mammals around that we're seeing, which is absolutely fantastic. The little duiker was nice to see. Excuse me. And even the little slender mongoose. It's good to see that as well. But I wasn't going to stay around there, shame. The little mongoose, they're so shy. They don't want to give us a view on what's happening. Kenneth, good morning, welcome to WildEarth. Yes, so, even the insects are missing in action here at the moment. But you never know, you know, it's still early times. As I say, perseverance. You have to continue looking, and hopefully we are fortunate just to find something big for you. You never know. Expect the unexpected. That's what I say. You never know, Kenneth, you never know. Maybe old Kenneth maybe Kenneth likes insects. Maybe we have to look for some little hohos, as we say in South Africa, hohos. Maybe look for some hohos around here. I saw actually just now I saw a beautiful yellow pansy. The yellow pansy is a beautiful butterfly that hangs around here now at the moment. Stunning. But they're so quick. To really get some of the butterfly species on camera, it's a little bit of a tricky one. But if I do find something very stunning, like a beautiful butterfly around here, we're definitely going to stop and take a look for you guys. But pointless just staying in one spot and looking for any butterflies, because we might sit the entire drive without seeing a single thing then. This one. Rosie, good morning, welcome. Look, we've got quite a few. We've got the rhino ticks, we've got certain pepper ticks as well. Oh, sorry, just hold on. I've got fresh leopard tracks. Philmon's cut line. Sorry, going down this way, nice leopard tracks. Yes, Rosie, we've got quite a few different tick species. Bontu tick is a real horrible tick. The Bontu tick is like that real grey, horrible looking thing. Then you've got the rhino tick, which is also very, very bad for us. I mean, if you get bitten by the rhino ticks, that's when you get like the tick bite fever. Then you get the smaller ones, the pepper ticks. Now the pepper ticks is the most common one you will have around here, but you cannot see them. So look, if they're in a pepper tick nest, it's a different story, because then it's a lot of them together, but they're very small, like pepper grains. That's why the name pepper ticks. And pepper ticks, most of the times when you do go bush, like on a bushwalk or something like that, or in the bush itself, have them all over your legs, and you cannot even see them. The only way you find out is once you start biting and getting little blisters on your legs, and it itches. It's one of my favorite itches as well. Eventually I end up with like all these little scabs on my leg because it's so good just to scratch it. But to find them, and they actually end up in your socks or your shoes, and they over day after day after day, they actually keep on biting you, and eventually you have to really look carefully, spend a few hours taking each little pepper tick off you or from your shoes, or just drown it or something. But there's quite a few different tick species around here. I want to see if I can actually find a nice tick. Sometimes you'll find they actually sit on the grass, and as soon as something comes past, it'll actually attach itself to whatever like animal it's actually walking past, or even a human that's walking past. It'll actually just attach itself, and it'll actually give you a good old bite, and end up with tick bite fever. Tick bite fever, it's bad, but it's not like Lyme disease where that actually can become fatal. I know that tick bite fever, I've had it several times, and tick bite fever, you'll actually end up with light becoming very bright. It's like a hallucinogenic feeling. And yeah, you've got to get antibiotics and all that for that. It could actually end up bad, but it's and the fever itself is terrible. Look, that's why they call it tick bite fever. You end up really sweating in bed, and I was walking through one of the supermarkets once when I didn't realize I actually had tick bite fever, and all of a sudden, walking down the aisles, every aisle was actually waving like that, and I thought to myself, but sheesh, there's something wrong with me. Maybe like somebody spiked my drink or something. It was like weird, and the lights, just everything was enhanced. The lights, everything, and I told my dad about it, and he looked at me, and I can just see I was absolutely sweating profusely, and things wasn't going right, and went straight to the doctor from there, and ended up with a really, really bad tick bite. And that tick bite was on my ankle, but it was under the sock, so I really didn't take notice of it. And it was one of those rhino ticks, and it was one of the worst experiences. But then it would happen again and again. Eventually you actually get immune to it, and now if I get tick bite fever, it's actually I just get really a headache, and my glands swell up. Oh yeah, that's also another thing. Your glands swell up there at your legs, like at your pelvis, and it feels like James Dean that's just got off a horse. Yeah, it's terrible. It's like it's not a pleasant feeling, but luckily I don't get that fever anymore. Sorry, I now completely missed on those tracks now. I just want to double check. I'm just going to go down this area. I know Shidulu, maybe lucky with Shidulu or someone into the southwestern corner, because there's definitely the female tracks that's heading down this side. So I just want to see. I know Karen on a dam cam last night, she picked up on, if I'm not mistaken, Mulawati, the male leopard. But I don't know, we couldn't find any tracks this morning, so it was early last night. And you know, male leopards can really, really move great distances during the night time. And to start off tracking from the dam, it'll take us hours. Or if we're lucky, we had a kill around that area from Gurry Dam side, then it's different. But yeah, females maybe more so. I'll try and follow up on the tracks. A lot of elephants. I'm a tiki-teak. I'm a tiki-teak. Yeah, I'm actually, that's one thing when I dread is to walk through this grass with these ticks. I'm just thinking about those ticks now. It's bad in the beginning, but it's good at the end. Like, ah. Anyway, while we carry on down south on Philemon's cut line, let's head back to Chris and see what he's up to on his bumble.
Yeah, that's not Murphy's Law, hey? There's definitely a group of dwarf mongoose in this termite mound. I can hear them. I saw them now as I drove up, and the moment we framed them up, they all just went in. But they are very inquisitive creatures, so I'm sure they'll emerge eventually. I think Morgan might just have one there somewhere. Oh, there you go. I just love the way they stare at you. Hey, buddy. He's the only one brave enough to emerge. Hello, Thomas. Asking if they ever blink. Thomas, yeah, I'm sure they will. They should be able to. Let's watch them and see if they do. Very, very shy, these guys today. There's one peeking out now again. It's just instantly hit. All right, I'm not going to spend too much time with them. They're obviously rather shy. So let's head over to JP on his bushwalk.
Good morning and welcome back to Pridelands. At the moment, we've been looking at a number of strategies that plants have evolved to actually protect themselves against animals that will maybe feed on them. And over here, we've actually got another tree that we were looking at a little bit earlier on when we came to the fawns, and this is a flaky fawn. And when you do look at the tree, it's fairly easy to identify. You'll notice that it's got very distinct little round leaves, very tiny, flowers, that's yellow in color, and then very distinct little leaflets as well as straight fronds. If you go a little bit further down onto the stem of a tree, you'll notice that it's actually got a flaky appearance to the bark, hence the name flaky thorn. It's also one of my favorite trees, as you can actually utilize the root of this plant, very similar to that you would be doing with a sweet potato. In this case, you just dig up the root and you actually throw it into the fire, and then you can cook it like that and then eat it. And I love this tree because sweet potatoes is also one of my favorite things to eat, and you can virtually do anything with them, and I can from roasting them and even making sweet potato brownies, which is one of my favorite things to do with them. As you can notice, that there's a number of very large fronds, as we mentioned earlier, as this is still a fairly young tree that is trying to protect itself. But when it comes to the center, you'll notice that there's actually less fronds, as we mentioned, that these trees will then spend rather energy in producing a leaf that can produce food for itself. We've also looked at a number of different grasses over here, and even grasses actually has evolved different strategies to either be utilized or not be utilized. And generally we see that some grasses love to be utilized quite heavily, and therefore they actually are very palatable compared to this grass that we have over here, which is known as a turpentine grass, which actually doesn't like being utilized at all. And what is produced is a number of different terpenoids and chemicals, and you can crush it in your fingers and you can actually smell that turpentine aroma that comes from the grass itself. And we'll notice that nothing really will graze on this, and it's also so unpalatable that they will actually see that they use it traditionally for lining grain baskets to prevent that the rats will eat the grain. And we also can notice over here that there's a number of plants like the marula that actually also has very hard outer layers to the seed to protect the inner part of the seed, giving that opportunity to actually germinate. And here you can see that this little part has actually popped off, and that is where the nut or the seed was inside. However, the one that we had over here, we can see it was busy being gnawed open by a rodent. And even rodents have evolved strategies to actually feed through these. And it's quite often squirrels which we actually find feeding on these. And I just missed out on that question over there. It was something about a fawn and me stepping on one. I don't know, mind if you quickly repeat that for me? Good morning, Bernicia, and welcome to the show. Yes, I actually have stepped on them, and I've actually stepped on a number of things that's even worse than that. And one of those are actually the spines of a zebra wood as well, and those actually go right through your shoe. And when I was young, I also fell into one of these trees, and I actually had some 30 or 40 different thorns that I actually had to take out of me, and that was quite painful. And that's the last time I tried to climb a thorn tree, and since then I've stayed well away from them or trying to get in them. One of the other trees that I'm very cautious of also getting stuck in was a buffalo thorn, which I showed a little bit earlier. That's not one of the nicest trees to actually get stuck in, and if you do get stuck on them, it's a very slow process of getting out of them. And if you are sitting in the tracker seat and you get stuck in them, it normally means that you're going to donate quite a large amount of blood if you do go through that tree itself. Well, we're going to start moving on and go and see what else we can go and find. Well, let me then quickly check what else we can find over here as we walk. We're just going to slowly walk from here and see what we can find. But as I'm going to walk, I'm going to be dead quiet. As a reason, if we do walk, we don't want to alert animals of our presence, and we don't want to bump into them by accident either, because if we do talk, we actually make quite a lot of noise and we don't hear the animals then. Let's go and see what we can see. while we continue walking. In the meanwhile, let's go and see what Cedric is up to.
So guys, folks, I am absolutely sure that I'm hoping that we're going to bump into this leopard. It's so fresh, female leopard tracks on the one side. It's on top of everything, And we're on Zoe's going north, so 10 to 1, it might be Shadulu. Just might be Shadulu. Oh, we even got a monitor. Oh, well spotted. Well, sorry, it's not a leopard, but it's a rock monitor. Let's go a little bit back for you guys. Sorry, yeah, just a little bit. There we go. Oh, well spotted there. Nice beacon, nice rock monitors. Got its head out there. Maybe you can tell us how long ago this leopard has just walked past here. But these leopard tracks are absolutely fresh going up north on Zoe's. I think definitely must be old Shadulu. So hopefully we're not too far behind her. But as you can see, this beautiful rock monitor. Look at those claws. Look at those nails. Yeah. Now, of course, many times big nails like that, scraping open mounds, opening up holes in the ground, grabbing little grubs, even looking for scorpions, eggs, climbing up in the trees. So yeah, those nose nails are very sharp and a huge weapon for these rock monitors. Of course, many times you'll find it's also the rock monitors, and the same as the water monitor, a lot of bacteria in its mouth, and it's got these razor sharp teeth, just like your constrictors, like the snakes, like your anaconda or the python. Very sharp teeth to really grip on something. And with that bacteria as well, it's just to break down whatever it's eating. So many times you'll find they even eat like dead flesh or rotting flesh, that bacteria just to break down that flesh that they're eating. Well spotted. I'm sitting in like a dead stump, and just taking a look. But let's carry on, folks. Let's move on with this, with these tracks. I think we're not far behind, so I'm trying to not go too far back. Good morning, Megan. Are you talking about my eyes or the rock monitors? Yeah, no, the rock monitor, I'm sure it's got beautiful eyes. Not that I really looked into its eyes, but yeah. But yeah, they've got a very good eyesight as well. Great eyes. I'm just trying to see. I got still on the road. Phew. Okay, let's just try and put a bit of pace here. I just want to see, because this leopard definitely was this morning, not last night, not late last night. I think this morning, and in the last hour or two, that leopard has definitely come past here. Please, I want to find this one. I haven't moved in there. Just want to check. Looks like still on the road. Yeah, still, yeah. Meryl, good morning, welcome to WildEarth. No, they don't travel great distances during the daytime. The thing is, they are cold-blooded, so they do need that heat. And it's just to travel a little bit, but it's not great distances. I mean, if you're looking like kilometers, nah, they don't travel kilometers. So it's still on here. So, but I mean, they'll look for water areas. You must also remember they also have to feed, so they'll try and get to an area. If they get something that's nice and really easy to feed upon, then they won't go far. If you can take a look closer on the right-hand side, if BK, you can see where this leopard has actually moved along the road. You see there, see that scuffle marks on the right-hand side. That's exactly where this leopard has been moving. But if I sort of look here, there's two tracks here. That looks like it's a female and maybe a male as well. So I wonder what's happening here. So yeah, I'm just going to carry on moving along this side. Sorry guys, I just really want to get this because we're not far behind here. We're not far, and this is just brilliant. See, he's gone there, gone there. moved off now. Moved off here. Damn, where did this? It was right there. So to look here carefully which way it didn't move off here. There's nothing here now. Good morning, Anna Marie. Yes, it'll also make my day just to see any leopard, any sort of leopard. Definitely. Thank you very much for your comment. Just where I saw there, it ducked off somewhere. So we're coming up to Rebecca's junction with Zoe's. I don't want to miss out on where this leopard went, because it is very fresh and it definitely hasn't come further up here. Just about maybe 50 meters back. It looked like it might have gone a little bit in the east onto Rebecca's. So I wonder if I wasn't just listening out here. Let's go down Rebecca's a bit. Yeah, I think the last one was on the right hand side. Many times you'll find they'll stick to that one side and go off. So I want to go down Rebecca's. Let's see. Cut across here, it'll cut onto this one. I know, that's definitely, luckily it's still cool. That's a very, very nice thing. It's still cool. So, you know, the leopards will still be, you know, moving around. Won't be too hot for them yet. Still moving a bit. So, yeah, they're definitely still making us work for our leopards, yeah. Oh, we still try and follow up on this leopard tracks. Let's head to Chris and see what he's up to at the dam.
Look at this. We're back at Buffelshoek Dam now. It's actually 2 hippos in here. Rather interesting. Look at that. There's a grey heron parked on top of the hippo. And he just seems to be fine with it. You got this lapwing trying to mob him. Maybe the hippo likes it. Maybe it's like a massage. Obviously, there's no signs of any irritation or anything. He's totally fine with that bird on his back. And it's no small bird. I mean, it's a big bird. I mean, herons are relatively big birds. That's fascinating. Hi there, Diane, and Diane says she's never seen a heron on top of a hippo before. Yeah. Hi, Diane, I must say, I don't think I've seen it either. I've seen other birds on hippos. It's not uncommon. I mean, oxpeckers, I've seen little egrets on top of them, all sorts of funny things. Interesting, there is another hippo in here. And we'll get to the other hippo soon. The other one is right there. And these guys are just staring at each other. Rob mentions that heron is very brave. Yeah, although, I mean, the hippo is not really a threat to him. In fact, I mean, he's almost seems to be somewhat enjoying the bird on his back. And he's making no effort whatsoever at all to get rid of the bird. It's like he's totally fine with it. Hi there, Anna Marie. Anna Marie just made a very interesting comment. She loves herons and they're very stealthy when they hunt. And indeed, they can remain motionless for hours. I mean, the epitome of patience in a way. Just waiting for a fish or a frog to sort of come close to the surface and then just quickly dart them with that long beak. Hi there, stuck in bed. Who says that this is probably the heron and the hippo from Djuma Dam, that they are pals. Yeah, well, could be. Could very well be. Now then down just 2 minutes. See how long they can hold their breath there. I'll probably stick around the dam for another 5 or so minutes. In the meantime, let's head over to JP and his bushwalk.
Welcome back to Pridelands. And today is one of those mornings where it's incredibly quiet and we're not even finding tracks, never mind animals. And that does quite often happen to you as a guide, where you are going to battle to find animals. It's also one of the reasons why we train guides in quite a wide range of different subject matters. And one of those subject matters is always plants, and then some of them is like birds, and also tracks, which is things that can always help you to actually provide some form of interpretation. And you can always link that to something that maybe somebody would have actually liked to have seen. In the case of here, we were so far discussing plants that are quite toxic this morning. And the tree that we are looking at, which I'm going to tell you a little bit more about, is a tamboti. And firstly, it's a fairly easy tree to actually identify. If it's a mature tree, you'll see that it's got dark, blocky appearance to the bark. However, if it's a young tree, it's more smooth in appearance and it's often covered with spines. Unlike the adult tree that lacks the spines. But when it comes to protecting itself against most species of browsers, it's also got a very toxic latex that it produces. I'm just going to show you a little leaf over here. And the latex is this milky substance that you see over here. And in most cases, when you do find a milky latex on plants, it's generally a good indication that it's incredibly toxic. And the exception to the rule is generally when it comes to species such as the fig trees, where the latex is not toxic. One of the functions that you can use this latex for, as well as the latex of many of the figs, is actually to boil it. And you can actually make a sticky glue with that you can use for catching birds. But you also see in the case of a tamboti, which belongs to the Forbiaceae group of plants, that all has milky latex, which is all incredibly toxic, but most of them can also be used for actually catching fish. And they use it for poisoning the fish inside the water. There's another use for this, and that is actually for putting on teeth that is busy rotting. So if you do break this off and you do show it to your guests, just be incredibly cautious that you don't get the latex in your fingers and that you don't get it inside your eyes, as it can create serious chemical burns and damage. Good morning, Jana, and welcome to the show. And the reason why it's toxic is to protect it against browsing animal species. But it doesn't work in all cases. We also see that giraffe still eats this. I've actually noticed impala eat it as well. And then kudu will also often feed on tamboti. And then while we're on that discussion of actually being used as a fish poison, there's another plant that we have out here. And this one over here is known as a cork bush. And this plant produces beautiful little flowers and very distinct seed pods. But when you look at the plant itself, it's got a dark upper part to the leaf and a pale under part to it. And this is often used for actually also poisoning fish, and it's regarded as one of the most toxic plants when it comes to using to poison fish. They reckon that it's so poisonous that it will even kill off small little crocodiles if it's inside a water body. We're going to move off and go and see what else we can go and find. As we move off, let's go and see what Cedric is up to.
Yes, folks, I'm still hot on the tracks of this female leopard that we've been tracking. It's probably Shidulu, because I'm pretty much far on the western boundary of Djuma. It's just not a big female. So definitely I think it's Shidulu, but so it looks like she might have cut across towards Impala Plains. So we're just going to take a look in carefully, because she's not far from us. I mean, as I said, those tracks are still shimmering with freshness. I'm just looking carefully this side, and I definitely want to try, because we're not far from her. And I'm just hoping just to pick her. Fortunately, she did go off the road, and that just put us off a bit, but I just had tracks again coming through onto the area where we're heading now. So I don't know if she was hunting something or she walked into an area with I didn't see any cub tracks, because I know that she's got cubs at the moment. So I'm just going to listen out here a little bit and just look carefully, because sometimes you're actually fortunate when you do things like this, that you actually can maybe pick up on something alarm calling. She does have a big territory. She's pretty much taken up Shadow's territory, where Shadow used to be. Quite a large western part of Djuma itself, and also going into Arathusa, so not far west from where we are now is Triple M North, our boundary road. But she doesn't go over, it's very fresh. She hasn't gone over that side yet. I'm just hoping that if we can't find her, that she finds us. And as you can see, the morning is still pleasant, still beautiful cloud cover. So Helen, good morning. Thank you very much for the comment, or for the question. Do animals react differently to a man's voice to a woman's voice? No, I don't think they distinguish the differences in that at all. If I'm sitting here, or if a woman guide is sitting here, I think at the end of the day, animals won't react differently. They'll pretty much not even notice anything with our tone. So no, I don't think animals do react differently. Not that I've seen, not that I've witnessed. I might be mistaken. Maybe if a lady came in and she spoke, maybe Shadulu would decide to come out. Maybe Shadulu's just shy of a man's voice. But no, I don't think they won't react differently. Well, never mind, but I've realized with maybe a young one, maybe with a young, I've heard with the babies, or like a young toddler crying on a vehicle, I've seen reaction out of lions and all that. But definitely, that I've seen reaction. But anyway, well, let's head back to Chris, see what's happening with his hippopotamus.
Well, heron's still on the back of the hippo. It's just such a nice little tranquil scene. We thought to just stay here for a bit. The other hippo's moved a little bit further down, out of sight. Just fascinated at how this hippo is just not fazed by the bird at all. It's almost enjoying it.
Any station for 1 on Djuma?
I must say, it's rather peaceful here at the dam. I love spending time at waterholes. It's when you get to see stuff like this, you know. And you get all these little surprises coming up. Like, for instance, look at this fellow. Hi, Kev. You want to know if that heron knows it's perched on a living creature? I'm sure it is. I mean, it must know, because it's moving every now and then, and I'm sure it knows. What do we have here? What a weird creature. Sorry, I'm photobombing it there, sorry. What a weird insect. This is weird. Look at this thing. This is extremely weird. I've got no clue what this is. It looks like it might be a type of stick insect. Phasmatodea, a very short one. It's weaving. It's interesting. I have never in my life seen this species. Yeah, Ollie, it's like a warped praying mantis, but it lacks the, those little adapted sort of feet. What jumps to mind here to me that this is a type of stick insect or a relative of the stick insects, probably from the order Phasmatodea, which is the stick insects. Looking at its head shape and its general features, but in my entire 22 years ago, I'd never seen this particular species. This is incredible. Now, I'd go for a type of stick insect on this, but I might be horribly wrong, but how incredible is this? And just look at the delicate mouth parts, the eyes, that little head. I mean, it's tiny. And that very interesting protrusions from the side, which is very likely adapted wings. It's definitely not feet. Or perhaps it is his feet. No, it's hind legs. I can see the first pair of legs, and then that, that's its hind legs. Unbelievable stuff. That is just surreal. Carpenter bee trying to harass me here, but anyway. I'm just absolutely fascinated by this insect. I'm definitely going to have to try and figure out Hi, Anna Marie. Says it's shaped like a jet plane. Yeah, very much so. Eh? I am absolutely intrigued by this. I always compare a career out here in nature, to a glass of water. And your experiences and knowledge that you gain is the water that you pour into the glass. And the moment you get to a point where you reckon the glass is almost full, I've seen it all, I've experienced it all, I know it all. You get something like this and the glass just becomes bigger. And you need to start filling it with more water. It's almost in a way like similar to golf. And this might sound funny, but golf is very much like a nature career. So the moment you think you're on top of it, it gets on top of you. Yeah, I'm a very keen golfer, by the way. Just not very good at it, though. Off it goes. Okay, I wanted to put my hand there to give you an indication as to how small it is. But it was right there. Tiny little thing. Hi there, sea cantrell. I don't think it's a type of grasshopper though. Its head shape is not typical of that. If I look at the shape of the head, the general body, it reminds me or indicates to me it's something in the order of Phasmatodea, which is the stick insects. I will need to research this one a little bit. I'm going to have to dig around on this to get exactly down to what this is. But I reckon it's very likely something related to stick insects or in that order of insects. It's definitely not a grasshopper nor a cricket. They're in a different order and their head shapes are rather different. But absolutely incredible stuff. And also big up on Morgan for some insane camera work there on that insect. I know Kaylee. Kaylee says, I've discovered a new insect. Very likely, you know, there's so many insects that's never been described. I'm sure this is a species that has been listed, that has been named. I just don't know the name of it. I'm definitely going to do some digging on this as soon as I'm back at camp. I'm going to have to look at a few books and I need to figure out what this thing is called, and I'll definitely come back to our viewers this afternoon as to what my verdict is on the idea of this alien thing. That's not an alien. Well, I'll tell you one thing, we certainly had a little creepy crawly on the dash, but let's head over to Cedric, who's also found a creepy crawly.
Yes, this is our creepy crawly. This is the golden orb spider. As you can see, this big female just wrapped one of the insects into a nice little parcel. And now she's just holding on, and it's pretty much now start feeding on it. As you can see, the males, two little males as well, behind the males, so much smaller compared to the female. And they also have to play very careful. They mustn't irritate the female too much, because you know spiders, just like the black widow, and as well, they call it the black widow as well, because many times you find females will actually kill the males if they do not play safe. And so many times you'll find that the males will actually bring the females a parcel just like that, which is also very much a brownie points for that male. But of course, now you know that the golden orb spider, they're pretty much part of the araneomorphs. So araneomorphs are those spiders that's web-based. So web-based spiders, I should call it a new age spider. Where your migliomorphs are like your trapdoor spider, baboon spider, more of your ground roaming spiders. The araneomorphs, web-based spiders, out of all the araneomorphs, this is pretty much the spider, the golden orb. It makes the strongest web, very, very strong web. And usually that anchor web that runs from tree to tree, that's where the golden orb, that's where they get the name from. It's got a beautiful golden color. Once the sun starts shining, you actually see that gold color of their web. Sometimes those trees can be 2, 3, 4 meters apart. And the golden orb spider, what they'll do, they'll kind of send that anchor web out, and at the end of the anchor web, it's like a little basket, a very sticky basket, and they'll use the wind like a kite. They'll use the wind to throw that web out with that basket, and of course it'll attach itself to the other tree opposite from where they are. And then once they've got that anchor web anchored, then they start making the web further on. So it makes a nice big web from tree to tree, very strong. Sometimes we try not to drive through it, but some days you just do not see it at all. And it can actually end up on your face and can become a very sticky situation. But yeah, these are not venomous spiders to us humans. A lot of people, they are scared of spiders. But honestly, I think people, because of the eight-legged insect, and it becomes like really creepy for a lot of people. Even for myself sometimes, it's not the big ones, you get those wolf spiders, rain spiders. And of course your old golden orb spider, that yellow and black, it just doesn't look pleasant, but they're absolutely very harmless to us humans. If something does, unfortunately, if the animal does come past and breaks the web from the one side of the anchor, it'll actually just swing across like Tarzan, and it'll pretty much catch onto a tree on the opposite side, or whichever side it's being swung to. And of course it'll grab the tree and it'll just sit back onto the leaf and try again. They're not built for running on the ground. Very Henry, good morning. Thank you for joining us on WildEarth. Yes, it does look like a whole family of spiders, but of course it's just controlled by the one female. And then we've got 2 or 3 little males that's hanging around there as well. And each one playing its own role and being very safe approaching that female, because it could be fatal for a male if it does approach the female in a wrong way. And that's why many times you'll find little parcels hanging around on the web itself. And that's actually sometimes what the males will do. They'll actually create a parcel for the female and deliver it to her. And hopefully when they do it, and they'll do it slowly, she accepts the parcel and does not kill the male. But she's really got something absolutely nice there, nice juicy, looks like maybe like a grasshopper. Difficult to see because she's wrapped that thing up so well. But she's definitely, looks like she's feeding at the moment, feeding on that parcel. Because it's already been wrapped up, so I think she's definitely feeding on it. I think that's something that she needs. But she is a big female. I'm just looking now. It's a nice size golden orb. So we get different orb spiders. Of course, we get the golden orb. And that's what we get many times. You'll find that's how they get the garden orb. The garden orb, a little bit different, more spikier. So it's got a lot of yellow to it, but it's not as common as a golden orb. So while we're sitting this side, still on the Impala plain, still listening out for anything from that female leopard that we were following up on this morning. Well, Akita, good morning. Yes, thanks for the question. It is, wolf spiders is more aggressive than the golden orb. You find that the wolf spiders are, because it's more of a ground roaming spider, you'll find that the wolf spiders will become not aggressive, but more defensive. So, but I mean, they won't go for you. They won't pretty much come out and attack us, whatever. As I said, it's very much harmless to humans. I mean, I don't think a golden orb spider is. I think actually a golden orb is. If you ever remember a daddy long leg spider that you always get in the houses, those thin little legs and thin bodies, they are also very non-aggressive compared to, it's the same as your golden orbs. I mean, if I go to this golden, they'll just flee from you. They won't attack you, or I mean, even if the golden orb spider falls on you, they won't even think of biting. They'll just try and get away. So if you think of an aggressive spider, a non-aggressive spider, it's pretty much a golden orb spider. Well, actually, the wolf spiders actually never really attacked me. I don't know. You hardly ever see a wolf spider. Oh, we're still just listening out and sitting here at Impala Plains. Let's head back to JP while he's on his bushwalk.
Right, it seems like our two hippos, there's a lot of muscle flexing going on here. The one bull's approached the other bull now, and there's a lot of eyeballing and sort of animosity going on there. A little bit of a turf war going on here. They haven't boxed each other yet, but definitely not happy. He's going to go there. So they're both going to try and intimidate the other one. And they're probably hoping that shaking off will deter the other one to move out. Because, I mean, hippos are massive creatures and they both have seriously big teeth. And they can inflict some serious wounds. The other alternative we need to look at is that perhaps one of them could be of a different gender. Although I saw both of them defecating. There we go. Which suggests that it is both bulls. Just maybe two different genders, and the intentions are less malicious, if you get my drift.
Welcome back to Pridelands. We're having a little bit of a technical issue with our camera and the sound this morning. I hope that we are through now. And as we were explaining a little bit earlier, we're actually looking at a blue wildebeest bull that's busy ruminating. And occasionally you'll also notice that he will actually roll in the dust. And they love dust bathing. They and zebras often will do that. And when you do go and look at the dust bowl that they've created, you can often go and see if it's a zebra or actually if it was wildebeest that created it by simply looking at the tracks. But you also will definitely see that the horns of the blue wildebeest also marks as that it does roll. And if you really go and look finely, you'll actually notice that there's long black hairs compared to that of zebras, where they've dust bathed, that you often find black and white hairs in the dust bowl. A few things that I do find particularly interesting about wildebeest. It's technically an antelope, although it doesn't resemble anything that looks like an antelope. And there's a standard joke in the guiding industry that it was the last antelope to be made, and they just simply put all the spare parts together. So if you look at the scientific name of it, it also means a bearded-like animal that looks like a bull. And if you do look at it, it looks like half horse, half bull, and a number of other combinations of different animals being put together. One of the things that I do find particularly interesting about the tribe, or this group of antelope to which it's closely associated, which also includes species like the Wildebeest, and then also Bontebok and Blesbok, is that we find that the young is all born in a state where they can immediately stand up and start running, compared to other antelope species which needs to lie out for several weeks to several months after that they have born. And we find that also with these animals that they can stay with the group almost at within the first few hours. However, if there's a serious chase and they are being chased by predators, a lot of the young animals within this specific tribe will actually fall flat down, and the adults will then distract the predator away by continuously running, and then go and find them a little bit later on. We also find within the specific tribe there's another specific interesting association, and that's association with a fly, which is referred to as a nasal botfly, which lives in the nasal cavity. Quite often you will notice that wildebeest as well as Sabi and Wildebeest will often snort, and that's to get rid of those flies. And those flies will then often accumulate in areas where they often go and lie, and shaded spots, or where they actually have little dust bowls where they often go and roll in. And then from there they continue their way back onto the wildebeest to continue the next part of its life cycle. There's also two species of wildebeest in South Africa, for those of you that are not familiar with them. And the species that we have over here, as mentioned already, is known as a blue wildebeest, or also known as a brindled gnu. And the name gnu comes in from the sound that they produce. The other species, that's known as a black wildebeest or white-tailed gnu, and as the name implies, it actually has got a white-tailed tip to it. Well, we're going to move on and go and see what else we can go and find, but let's go and see what Chris is up to.
These two yaks are still very much playing this little game of eyeballing each other. Some very weird things happening today. Insects on the car, carpet, birds on hippos, sort of like trying to diffuse potential hostile situation. Yeah.
Welcome back to Pridelands. We're still with our Wildebeest, and we're just looking at what he's busy doing. Not much at the moment, other than just rolling in the dust every now and then. And still every now and then, we'll notice how he's busy rechewing the food, but he's eaten a little bit earlier. A few things that I do find particularly interesting about their behavior is that they historically used to actually migrate in South Africa. However, because of man-made dams, as well as the erection of fences, we find that they no longer will actually migrate, and they actually became sedentary, and they seldom move more than 25 kilometers in distance. But when you do go to East Africa, they actually form two very large migrations in a year. And that there's a north-south migration, and that's just depending where there's a sufficient amount of rain at that moment, which produces a sufficient amount of food. And that migration actually takes them across the Mara River, which is probably one of the most spectacular wildlife migrations in the African continent. However, for me, the most fascinating of all migrations in Southern Africa, or in Africa, is that of an annual sardine run, which we find during the winter months. And that originates pretty much on the tip of South Africa from the Western Cape region, and they all move up along the east coast of South Africa, roughly to an area of approximately to where Durban is. And that specific migration is also accompanied by a large amount of predators, just like the migration for wildebeest will be accompanied by a large amount of predators. In their case, as a wide range of different sharks, as well as birds such as gannets, and also a number of other fish-eating species such as penguins and even big whales that will simply gulp up these sardines in their large numbers. Going back to our wildebeest at the moment, it looks like he's grooming himself there a little bit. You'll often notice that animals will groom themselves to keep their fur in top shape. We also quite often see that certain species will actually groom one another as well. And that's also to remove parasites from the coat. And we often see that with species such as impala. Oh, we're going to move off and go and see what we can go and find. And in the meanwhile, let's go and see what Cedric is up to.
Well, welcome back. We're still, I'm not giving up on this. These tracks of the female leopard. Unfortunately, I don't want to be defeated. I hate being defeated, and especially when you know it's something so close. And it's not, leopards are very much well camouflaged, secretive. You can just be lying right next to the road and you can even miss it. So I'm not giving up, and I'm just taking a look still. It definitely, we took a look, I mean, this came from the south onto Zoe, so it must be Shudulu. You know, Shudulu's hangs in this area quite a bit. So I'm just combing these areas thoroughly. It's pointless running all over the place and looking for other tracks or other things to track while we've got something so fresh. I'm just also hoping if we do find her, if we can also find maybe she's brought the cubs over to this area. I'm just keeping an eye. I was also hoping that she's actually gonna sit on top of a termite mound for us, and it's like, yeah, we are. It's like, but clearly she's decided not to do that for us today. It is actually getting a little bit cooler. Funny enough, I thought the clouds was going to be burning off earlier this morning, but it seems like it's really it's this beautiful, it's like a little fresh air, coolness that's coming through, and I think it looks like we might have maybe a little bit of rain for today. which is fine, which is pleasant. Just cool down the area at the moment in the air for us, so that's going to be fantastic. I don't mind that at all. It's also it's amazing how quickly the vegetation, the grass is getting to a different color now. Gene. Termite mounds, they do collapse sometimes. I mean, it depends on what's digging. So if something starts digging holes in it, but not as a mound itself, like an active mound, because it's so hard. That soil on that mound is really, it's like concrete. It's very, very, very solid. But I mean, if animals like your pangolin, aardvarks, honey badgers, whatever is going to be using the mound as a den site, starts hollowing it out enough, I'm sure if you get like a nice weak point, it will collapse on top. But not underground. Underground as well, it's very solid, it's very strong. As I said, it's like concrete, so it's well prepared, it holds well, so yeah, it won't just collapse that easily. It will take quite a bit to collapse a termite mound. I mean, if I knock on a termite mound, actually here it's like solid. Pretty much as we're passing one now on the right hand side. Absolutely strong. We've got a bit of big male elephant tracks that's coming up here. Come on, come on, come on. Where are you? Where are you? I just need to keep a close eye on this area as well, because I know that Rexon, he spoke about it the other day. He says she likes 1 or 2 termite mounds here that she comes in when she comes into this area. So I'm just wanted to double check, and that's why I'm going to those termite mounds now. I'm just going to a certain or specific spots and start cancelling specific spots, because that the tracks is coming towards so yeah. And nothing's crossed over Triple M North, so nothing's crossed back into Arethusa. Just got something rolling around there. Roly poly, went to town. See, there's another termite mound. Kim, 8 years old, asking great questions. Will elephant tracks lead us to predators? No, unfortunately not, Kim. Elephants, they don't. They pretty much won't. If I'm following leopard tracks or elephant tracks, it's not that it's going to end up at predators, but that elephant could be walking past a predator that's sitting in a termite mound or in a tree or something like that. So, but it's not the track that's leading me to that predator. It's actually I have to look for the predator's tracks itself, like the lion tracks or the leopard tracks. That's the one that's going to lead me to that individual. But elephant tracks will not really lead me to a predator. And if I have to track a predator, I'll definitely not look at a big elephant track or a rhino track or something like that. But good question. Always interesting here. I'm going to carry on going up this way and see what's happening, and maybe looking to these termite mounds that's been given to me. So while we're doing this, let's head back to Chris and seeing what he's up to on his bumble.
Well, good luck, Cedric. I really hope you find that leopard. We on the other hand have seen some leopard tracks there by the dam we had to hippos. There was some scat as well, but I reckon that I'm not going to follow it. It's just bad area, very good conditions, so now we're just bumbling. I'm just driving some of the roads that I don't drive often, Sometimes I feel that if you take these roads, it might surprise you. I think it was a rather relaxed, easygoing morning. You know, there weren't many high-profile animals, but I think it was still a good outing, you know. Morgan and I was just discussing the very same thing. And, you know, you don't always have to see leopards and lions and all sorts of things. And good morning, White Mane. I love that question yet again. White Man wants to know if these termite mounds that we see around are always active with termites. White Man, quite a number of them are dormant or extinct, depending on the terminology you use, which means the queen has died and therefore the entire colony eventually perished. What does happen is some of these mounds get reignited, like repopulated. You know, when these alates come out after the rain, these are fertile males and females, and they might pair up and re-inhabit one of those old mounds that's not being used. I mean, some of these mounds are ages old, decades, if not older. And that's relatively easy to see if a mound is active. Normally these ones that are overgrown with grass have been dormant for quite some time. But you will see new activity in the terms of mud and so forth on some of these mounds. But if it's like very hard and smooth or covered with grass, often an indication that it's been dormant for some time. Interesting is that this is one particular species. It's not all the termite species out here create these mounds. It's only a their food. In order to eat it, they have the necessary microfauna and flora in their gut to digest dead plant material, more specifically lignin and cellulose, which are very complex carbohydrates. And the macrotermes, the fungus growers, they lack those microfauna and flora, which we collectively call it flagellates. Same stuff that herbivores have in their gut. It's just a collective name for them. So the fungus growers don't have that, so therefore they need to cultivate a fungus inside the mount, well actually below surface, under the mount. And the mount is basically a heat and gas regulation valve, if you really want to look at it. So the mount's purpose is to maintain temperature throughout the colony underground. So you get that metabolic heat from the fermentation rising up, sucks in cooler air from below, and therefore they can regulate the temperature. Roughly at the optimum temperature of about 29 degrees Celsius, which, should I quickly check something? Sound seems to be breaking up there. So yeah, roughly about 29 degrees Celsius, which is the optimum temperature in the mount. And that's also the optimum temperature for egg laying when it comes to the queen, who in fact lays up to about 30,000 eggs in a day. Crazy stuff. I love these questions because they're just spawns new topics, discussion points. You can hear some francolins that are going berserk down in the drainage. Hi, they're stuck in bed. I like that name. Mornings is typically where I would really like to be in bed. Now, question, do you use any of the plants, or is any of the plants that can be used in plants? Absolutely. I'm trying to would generally speaking as a garden. These trees have been in people's gardens throughout the country, in urban areas, like the gardenia. I'm trying, I can't see a gardenia. They plant them, I know. Oh, hello there. Okay, let's put that one on hold for a second. And look at these alleys. How lovely is this? Good morning, Geraldine. I just commented about that little baby suckling. Interesting is a lot of people somehow, and I've seen this throughout my career, is a lot of people ask me, you know, do the babies also suckle with a trunk? And in fact, they suckle just like any mammal with the mouth. That's all. Quite a grown one. I might just look at this one cow. A little bit fixed sight. Is one of the younger cows. It's two what keeping a eye. That one on the back is a
Brilliance. It seems that we've just lost Djuma there, and we also might just lose signal over here, as this is a little spot but it's a little bit unstable. We're just going to slowly continue making our way towards one of the dams and actually go and see if we can go and find anything around there. A small little dove that's right in front of us. It's quite an actually easy one to identify as it's got no black collar around its neck, as well as because of its small size. This one is known as the laughing dove. Unfortunately, we disturbed it as it was going to go and have a drink at that little puddle. And I also find it particularly interesting is that they will actually drink without having to tilt their heads back, unlike many other birds that have to tilt their heads back once they've had a drink. And by drinking in that way, they can actually reduce the amount of time that they're exposed at a little waterhole or puddle. And right on top of this dead tree, there's two birds up there as well, especially high up to the left hand. I'm just going to ask Johan to just pan the camera over there. And the one that is so multicolored is a crested barbet. We often hear crested barbets, we don't always see them. And one of the reasons why we don't often see them is because as soon as we want to bring the camera onto them, they tend to actually fly off. It's also one of our largest species of barbets in South Africa, and dead trees like this is actually one of the perfect places for it to actually produce a nest. And they also have the ability to hollow out sections within a tree and create their own nest hole, very similar to that woodpeckers. So quite often when you do hear them calling, they can call non-stop for anywhere between 20 seconds up to just over 5 minutes. And it's because of their complex syrinx, which they can allow them to sneak in little mini breaths while they are calling, which enables them for calling for such prolonged periods of time. And the bird that's just directly towards the left of that, that's one of the starlings. I can't see if it's got a dark underbelly or a light or a uniform coloration at the moment. But what I can see is got a yellow eye. So it's either a Cape glossy starling or a greater blue-eared starling. If it does call, that's probably one of the more accurate ways to actually identify it. However, under good light, you'll actually be able to separate them, as the greater blue-eared also has tiny little spots in the wing and then also a dark little section behind the ear coverts. But under poor light conditions like this, it's very hard to see. And also once you also look at these birds under good light, they will actually shine up because of the iridescent coloration to the feathers. Good morning, Lenny, and welcome to the show. We're very fortunate to actually have so many different species of birds out here. And in general, in South Africa, we're actually very fortunate in terms of bird diversity. For the whole of Southern Africa, there's almost close to 1,000 species of birds. And coming back to the starling that we see over there, if we do look at the coloration that you find on it, it actually doesn't exist. And what actually happens is those bright blue iridescent colors is like created by refraction of light as there's tiny little melanin crystals. And in combination with a feather, it creates a functional prism which refracts and bends light and creates those bright blue colors which we'll see under bright sunny days. While we're watching our birds and making our way towards our dam, let's go and see what Cedric is up to.
Hey folks, still on the tracks of the this female leopard. It's just gone up to Gallagher shortcut, still going north. It seems like one of Rusty's wheels wants to fall off. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, that tracks is definitely heading north. I'm going up Gallagher shortcuts. I want to see if I can pick up on anything this side. And I don't see, yeah, but it went straight across Voyatilla access. She's definitely giving us a, oh, what's bothered you? Yeah, it is what's upset you. What upset you? Yeah. What upset you? Yeah. I just feel like, you know, when you feel that you're right behind that animal or that leopard, it really, it's, you know, I've got this feeling, it's like I'm right there, but then I'm not there, but I'm right there, but I'm not there. I just, yeah. But anyway, that's what makes it so nice with the tracking, because, you know, sometimes you don't want to make it easy. You don't want it to be too easy, because if it's too easy, that success is not that great then, you know. But when it's difficult and you really push for it, let's take a look here. I don't know what. Say what? Penny, good morning, welcome to WildEarth. Yes, definitely not the whole day, I won't say entire day, but I have spent loads of hours sometimes tracking certain species that we really needed to get, and I've done a lot of footwork for that, definitely, but I'm not saying the whole day. I think the whole day would have been, a little bit crazy. Other than that, I mean, I don't mind. It's just sometimes it does take a little bit of time and perseverance and patience to really track something and getting something. But you never know how. Look, the thing is, you know how close you are in a way, but it could just by chance you miss that one track which puts you off completely, and you have to like kind of almost backtrack your doings and your findings of the signs, and that could take time. You know, you don't want to jump too quickly ahead, because if you do that and you jump too quickly ahead, sometimes it's just then you as we say, you're tracking a ghost, and that's not going to be good. But exactly like this tracks that's coming up straight across from Zoe's down over Vertella. I mean, I went on to Impala Plains to thinking that those tracks were going to come, or that leopard was going to come out that side, and it looks like that female completely I must probably with a single track that just went into the right instead of the left, and that puts a person off. But that's how we learn. That's what makes it interesting. That makes it exciting. And I really do hope, if we don't find now, that this afternoon is going to deliver, and I'm sure it will. I'll put my leopard muti. Like, that's what I forgot this morning. I think I always put that leopard muti in my pocket, and maybe that's why we're just behind this leopard today. That the muti was left behind. It also feels like this one wheel is falling off. I think that wheel passed me just now. But boom, 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 boom. I don't think I'm on this side. Maybe heading towards.
Welcome back to Eco Training Islands. We quickly popped in at Ndlovu Dam to go and see what's happening over there. Animal-wise, it's very quiet, but there's a number of different birds that are coming in and out. And we also have a small group of Egyptian geese, which is actually grazing away on the edge of the dam at the moment. The very same group that we noticed that late December, I just think before Christmas, myself and the cameraman Owen noticed that they actually had chicks. And it's amazing how quickly they actually started growing and how big they've grown in the last 3 months. I'll probably start moving off very soon as well. One of the things that we did notice here, or see here a few weeks ago, was when they were still considerably smaller, was a peregrine falcon that actually took one of the chicks. It was just amazing to see how this bird came down with speed, swept in, and just grabbed one of the chicks and flew off of it, and then went to go and perch in a tree close by, and then consumed the rest of the Egyptian geese chick that it took. When it does come to peregrines, they're also one of the fastest flying birds on the planet, and they can reach speeds of up to well over 380 kilometers an hour when they are going into a stoop. And normally they go for bird species such as pigeons, and they tend to hunt them on the wing. However, I've also watched them quite often over estuaries where they'll hunt a number of different waders as well. I've even watched one hunting terns over the open ocean. Good morning, Leonard, and I'm glad that you're enjoying your morning, and thanks for joining us on the show. Well, we're going to sit around here for a little bit longer and see if anything else pops in, but let's go and see what Cedric is up to.
Welcome back. Here to Gallagher Pan. See if we can pick up on anything that side, because I know that, as I said, they had more of whitey last night around the Pan, Gulgari Dam. This, this leopard tracks is heading this side, so I think it's Shadulu. I really don't. Female size. So as I'm saying, I'm not going to jump into any. There's definitely not a big male leopard for sure. It's not like Molawaitis and you know, Tingana and those ones. They used to have nice big tracks. Definitely a smaller track, like a female, but it is could very possible be a young male that's coming straight up. That's what coming further east. Well, Shadulu come this far east towards this area. I mean, and her young ones are pretty much far west. So, all that's all I know. Look. A lot of these beautiful silver cluster leaves. It's really, really green with that beautiful silver color to the bottom of it, of the leaf itself, all over the show. Yeah. Sometimes, unfortunately, a silver cluster leaves pods or seeds actually can give this real rotten smell. Smells like somebody's just taken off a stinky shoe. And Mini, good morning. Welcome to WildEarth. Yes, it is. Sometimes it does. You know what? Sometimes searching for stuff in the morning or even in the afternoon. It is fun. It is a lot of fun. I enjoy it because it's just waiting for that moment of finding it, and it's like, yes, shakalaka. But it is like mornings like this morning. Unfortunately, leopard 1, Cedric, big 0. That is a sad one. But anyway, that's fine. I'll accept it. I'll accept my defeat today, or this morning. And we'll definitely take a look what's happening this afternoon. And hopefully everybody can come and join us on our sunset drive. And we continue searching for our individuals. But thank you for everybody for joining us this morning. Thank you so much for the questions and for the comments. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you for the sunset drive.